So I invited a friend and we've got 48 hours in Mexico City and we're squeezing in everything from cathedrals and pyramids to street tacos that people dream about. If you want a weekend that's full of history, food, and little surprises in North America's biggest city, then stick around. I think this is one you're going to want to try for yourself. Also, I apologize in advance if I messed up any pronunciations. You wouldn't believe how hard I try to get these right. And if you want to see what it's like to fly here from the Tijuana airport, check out that video in the description. Alright, let's jump in. We were staying in the historic city center, and so we started our day with a visit to El Cardenal. This is a popular spot, especially on the weekends, so get there early, and it's located on 3 floors with a different dining room on each. And as soon as we sat down, they were already serving us pastries and coffee before even presenting the menu. I got the chilaquiles, and I can't remember what my friend got, but both of them were great, and there was a line out the door when we left. Leaving the restaurant, we walked towards the Zocalo, and then we headed to the cathedral first. Known as Mexico City's Metropolitan Cathedral, construction began here in 1573 and finished in 1813, taking over 240 years to complete. It was actually built over the ruins of the Aztec Templo Mayor, using stones taken directly from those temples to complete its build. I was told while I was there that the cathedral was designed to show the power and prominence of the Spanish rule after their conquest. It's actually the largest cathedral in Latin America, with 5 naves, 16 individual chapels, and 2 bell towers. By far the most impressive part is the Altar de los Reyes, also known as the Altar of the Kings. Built in the early 1700s, it's covered completely in gold leaf, and it's one of the most extravagant altars in Latin America. It stands nearly 50 feet tall and almost 30 feet across, and its dominating presence when you're exploring the cathedral. Another thing that's really interesting about this cathedral is how it's actually sinking into the uneven ground. It's hard to show on video, but as you're walking around, you'll notice how the different areas are higher or lower than each other. And it's pretty fascinating that it's still able to stand even with some of these shifts. I spent 2 months this year touring cathedrals in Europe, and this rivals anything that I saw there. It is incredible. Leaving the cathedral, you can head into the Zocalo, which is one of the largest plazas in the world, measuring over 57,000 square meters. It's been known to hold up to 100,000 people during major events, and you can see everything from protests to concerts here. Only a 2-minute walk away on the right side of the cathedral is Templo Mayor. This was the main temple of the Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan, that was built in 1325. And here's what the temple would have looked like if it was still standing today. The temple was actually rebuilt 7 times as the Aztecs grew more powerful, each version layering over the previous. Unfortunately, it was destroyed during the Spanish conquest in 1521, and again its stones were used to build the city and the cathedral next to it. What's crazy is that it was actually rediscovered in 1978 when some electrical workers were doing some digging and they found an enormous stone carving of the moon goddess. And from there, they were able to unearth all that you see in this video. It's pretty cool to see both sides like that. As you explore the ruins, you can see many of the different layers of the temple, and you can see some of the shrines that would have been in it. A lot of this is via imagination or some of the pictures that they have, but it's still pretty cool to see how much they were able to uncover. This is an incredibly unique site. Definitely take the time to read all of the plaques. You can learn more about it. They're in Spanish and English. Right next to the site is the museum, which you can also access with the admission ticket you purchased. And here they house all the artifacts they've uncovered from the temple site in the 8 exhibition halls, each covering a different theme like gods, war, commerce, and even offerings. There's a lot to explore here, and you're definitely going to need to take your time to see it all, but note that a lot of the different information plaques were not in English when I was there. One of the most unique things is how all of it surrounds the monolith of Tlahtecutli, which is actually one of the largest Aztec stone carvings ever found. Here's what the area looks like just to get some bearings. There's the square, there's the cathedral, and then here's where we are. And also this building number 10 is where one of the temples was at, and that's our hotel. You can actually see it at the base of our hotel. I'll show you later. I have to say, I was excited to visit Mexico City, and it has lived up to expectations so far. We've only been to like 3 spots. If you don't want to pay to access the site, you can check it out from the observation area where they have some cool maps you can see. What's so nuts is that this used to be an island city, so there was the different causeways that you could take to get into the city. I can't even imagine seeing it back then. That would be so crazy. Before we head on, I just wanted to show you our hotel. It's not sponsored, it just makes sense at this part of the video. There's the cathedral right there, and there is our hotel. Here's the remains of the temple that I was telling you our hotel was built on. Fortunately, we can't actually go down there. It's closed off right now, but that's still pretty unique. We were there on November 8th, and so they had just finished the Dia de los Muertos event, and so there were still some remnants of that. And then walking down through the hotel, you can see our room. It's nothing special, but it was well priced, the location was great, and it was perfect for our time in the city. Oh, and in case any of my American watchers are wondering, that's a bidet. Heading on, we grabbed an Uber, and we actually used Ubers a lot on this trip. It's easy to get one in 4 to 5 minutes most times, but note the traffic is pretty bad in Mexico City. Our next spot brought us to Taqueria El Califa de Leon. It's Sunday, 5 minutes before they open, and there's only 2 people in line. This spot opened in 1968, but it made international news in 2024 when it earned a Michelin star, the first Mexican taco stand to do so.
I am a 10 out of 10 excited about this one. What about you? 11 out of 10.
By the time they opened, there were 20 people in line for this tiny shop. There's basically enough space for 3 people to get in line to pay, the one worker making the tortillas, the one worker making the meat, and then 3 people to stand around the bar and eat their tacos. I ordered 4 tacos to try, and after ordering, I just sat there and watched them make the meat, which is only seasoned with salt and lime juice. And then after a few short minutes, my name was called out and I earned the coveted 3rd spot at the bar so I could eat while watching them cook. This spot is known for the gallo negro taco, which is ultra thin slices of steak on a tortilla with a lime on the side and a little bit of salsa you can add. It didn't look like much, so I didn't know what to expect, but I can easily say that I was converted when I took a bite.
This is incredible. 10 out of 10 for sure.
11 out of 10.
That's a tiny spot, so I couldn't say much when I was in there, but wow, that is incredible. The thing that really stands out is the fact that it's just meat. There's nothing else on it, but the meat is so good that would make the tacos so good. Plus, that salsa is definitely next level as well. That did not disappoint. Definitely check it out when you're here, and get here like 5 minutes early and you can sit right at the bar and eat.
Moving on to our next spot, we grabbed another Uber and we headed towards Bosque de Chapultepec. On the way, we noticed a lot of art along the streets, so we told our Uber driver to pull over and we just got out here to explore. There's not a lot of information about this online, but apparently the event was called El Camino, and it ran for a few weeks right around Dia de los Muertos. I guess at night all of these things were lit up, but even during the day they were very cool looking. Check out this one, it's like a hummingbird or something, but it looks very evil.
It's the guardian of the pollen.
Ah, that makes sense.
And this is such a cool time to be down in this part of the city. You can see that they have it all shut down so that people can bike, and then all the art along the sides of the street.
Every Sunday morning from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., they shut down the street on Paseo de la Reforma. And with it shut down, people can ride bikes, scooters, they can do roller skating, they can even go for a run, and they can just enjoy this area with the main street shut down.
What's cool is they have all these bikes that you can just rent along the way and drop off in other sections. You can just hop on and have fun if you want.
Next time I come, I would definitely ride a bike here as it looked like a blast. I talked to the locals about the art and they told me that they were an alebrije, which is a fantastical creature with a mix of animal parts such as horns, wings, and fangs. They're painted with vivid colors and complex patterns, and they're kind of like a folk art sculpture.
I think this might be my favorite. I like this guy with his beard. We're saying goodbye to these awesome works of art, and I'm so glad I was down in the city when they had them. It's incredible to walk along and see all of them. Now we're heading into the park.
Continuing on, we crossed the street and entered the park, and then we walked the central walkway and the bridge over to the Altar a la Patria. This monument honors the Niños Heroes, 6 young cadets who died defending the castle during the US-Mexican War in 1847. Right next to that in the park is a large market with everything you could possibly imagine.
We secured our Lucha Libre mask for later, and they even had one that fit my big head, so I'm pretty excited. And that means we're going to Lucha Libre later. Before we head to the next spot, this is a good time to talk about this video sponsor, LMNT.
When you're out exploring, staying hydrated isn't just about water, it's about electrolytes too. That's where LMNT comes in. It's a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't, which means a lot of salt and no sugar. Each packet has a science-backed ratio of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. Exactly what your body needs to perform its best. No junk, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers. Whether you're sweating from hiking or just walking around Mexico City all day, your body loses salt fast, and that's what leads to headaches, cramps, and fatigue. LMNT helps to prevent all of that so you can keep going without feeling wiped out. Right now, LMNT is offering my subscribers a free sample pack of some of their most popular flavors with any order. That's 8 single serving packs free with any order. The deal is only available by going to drinklmnt.com/throughmylens or by clicking the link in the description. All right, let's go explore more of the park. We walked the small market and explored the park a little bit more before deciding we should head up to Chapultepec Castle. This spot is located on the top of the hill in the middle of the park, so you do have to walk a long winding path up to the top of the hill to see it. Note that if you're taking video and pictures at a lot of these places, you need to ask and you have to pay a small fee in order to do it. And then they give you something like this, like the sticker to put on so you can take video while you're here. The castle stands at the top of Chapultepec Hill, which is a site that's been sacred since the Aztec times. And from here you can get incredible views out over the city, and so it's well worth coming up just for those views. The castle itself feels like it's broken into 2 sections, with one area being the art museum and the other area showcasing what it was like to live at the castle. We started on the art side, and it's fascinating the type of artwork you can see here. This is not like your normal museum, as they have some massive pieces of art here. I mean, just look at the ceiling inside of this entryway, it's beautiful. I found one of the most interesting to be Del Porfirismo a la Revolucion. Again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering these pronunciations, I'm trying my hardest. This was a massive painting that wrapped around multiple walls inside of the room. And then as you explore more, you'll see many other famous works of art, some of which you've probably seen in your history textbooks while you're in school. I didn't expect to be so blown away by the artwork that was on display here. I'd say it's as good as some of the art museums I've been to. And now we're heading into the castle. I was there on a Sunday in the middle of the day, and as you can see, there are a lot of other people here with me. The castle itself was very busy, and it would have been nicer to visit on a weekday so I could have seen more of the rooms, as some of the rooms had so many people crowding in them you couldn't even look in. A worker told me that this is known as the only royal castle in North America, and that its interior is filled with 19th century furnishings. Construction began in 1785, and it's been many things over the years, including a summer home for Spanish rulers. And then in the mid-1800s it became a military academy, and then later it even became the official residence of the Mexican presidents until 1940 when it was turned into a museum. My favorite part was on the second floor where there's a series of stained glass panels. These windows depict 6 allegorical female figures, each representing a national virtue or ideal, from fortitude and justice to truth and peace. It was a popular spot for photos, and there's a lot of people waiting in line to take a picture there. We spent about an hour and a half here, and I could have spent a lot more time if it wasn't as busy, and then from there we headed back down the hill and towards our next museum. As we were walking through the market on our way to the museum, we noticed that everybody had a small monkey on the top of their head called a Chongo, and so we had to investigate and decide if we needed one.
So these are the Chongos, and we have seen everyone wearing them, and I literally feel like I had to get one. And basically what you do is you put water into this, and then you can squirt your friends. So watch out, Chris, because I am loaded up, and he thinks he's not cool enough to wear one, so. This is the best 20 pesos I've spent in my entire life. Chris is an unsuspecting victim of the Chongo. It's so amazing. I mean, it's basically me and all the children, but I'm okay with that. I got Chris paranoid of the Chongo attack. He's trying to look at me so he doesn't get hit again. Already got him like 10 times. I had to refill. Dunna. Chongo attack! After that fun Chongo break, we're now at the top museum in the city.
This is the National Museum of Anthropology, one of the city's most impressive and important landmarks. The museum opened in 1964, and it houses 22 permanent exhibition halls organized by region and culture. I'm not even going to begin to scratch the surface on this museum. It's one of those ones that you absolutely have to see for yourself, and it's incredible the amount of stuff they have on display here.
This is where we're heading tomorrow. All of these different pyramids.
I was told that this museum was created in order to house this amazing collection of artifacts, much of which was scattered around the city, and to bring it all together under one roof. And depending on how interested you are in this type of history, you could easily spend half to a full day here. We were told this is the most famous piece here, and they thought at one point it was the Aztec calendar, but it's not. It's called the Stone of the Sun. This was discovered in 1790 and it weighs over 24 tons. Supposedly this is one of the largest anthropology museums in the world, and it contains over 600,000 artifacts. I also liked the exterior path that they had that allowed you to walk through different massive structures related to the people groups that you were seeing.
I can easily say that's one of the most impressive museums I've ever been to, and I don't even think we saw half of it as we were walking around. The only thing I wish is that I could read Spanish. I could have learned more about all the individual objects, as most of it's in Spanish.
Leaving the museum, we again grabbed an Uber and we made the 30-minute drive back to our hotel. Honestly, even the drive is interesting as there's so many things to see out your window. Got a little time to kill before Lucha Libre, so grab some cappuccinos and we're heading to the balcony of our hotel. Wait till you see this. This is the main reason I wanted to stay at the hotel. It was for this rooftop balcony.
Look at this. Can you believe this view? This is one of the best places I've ever drank coffee, I think.
There's also a bar and restaurant one floor below, but we kept finding ourselves at the balcony, and during the time we were there was never another person up here with us.
It's hard to pull myself away from this, but we got Lucha Libre now.
To head to Lucha Libre, we actually took the metro, but you're not allowed to take any videos inside of the metro, so here's some shots of us driving.
We made it to Arena Mexico. Lucha, here we come.
After entering the arena, there's some people that'll show you to your seat for a small tip, and then we sat down to enjoy the show.
Yeah! Woo! This is awesome. There is a lot of energy in this stadium.
And before you ask like my wife if anyone else in the arena had masks on, at least a third of the arena did. Mixing incredible athletics, sport, theater, and tradition, Lucha Libre is a popular form of entertainment in Mexico City. And it's all based around the idea of good and evil, where everybody cheers for the good guys and boos the bad guys. Of course, it's also popular for having a michelada, and we were happy to oblige. You can get it rimmed with half tajin and half sesame seeds, but I definitely prefer the sesame seed rim myself. I'm not sure how all these people were drinking this with their mask on though.
That's a little difficult. What's your review of your drink?
10 out of 10.
I've been to a lot of sporting events in my day, and I can say that this is one of the loudest events I've ever been to. It was just so electric to be watching this inside of the Arena Mexico, which is known as the Cathedral of Lucha Libre.
People are going crazy for Mexico. I'm excited to see them.
The event was over 2 hours long, and it ended with a bang with the wrestler known as Mystico, which the crowd was just continuously cheering for, putting on an absolute show. I could easily say that I could have watched another hour of this event. It was just so much fun. Plus the tickets that we got the day before the show ended up being around $8 US.
It's an incredibly fun experience. Great athletes doing all sorts of crazy tricks, and it's 2 hours. Definitely one of the best things you can do in Mexico City. Don't miss it.
Leaving Arena Mexico, we decided to walk 15 minutes to a taco shop that had been highly recommended in the Roma Norte area of Mexico City. Taqueria Álvaro Obregón.
Al pastor con queso, and then whatever they recommended to me. I don't know what this is, but it looks awesome. All right, gotta try al pastor, which is of course what they're known for. And they told me to get it with cheese, which is surprising. But I mean, look at that taco. It's a good looking taco. I'm sure it'll come as no surprise to you, but Mexico City has their tacos on point.
By the time we left, there was 30 people in line, and you can just watch them carving the meat off the spit the entire time you're there. As we were walking back, we saw a long line for a place called El Moro, which was a churro shop that had been here for over 70 years. And since we weren't really in a rush, we decided to wait the 30 minutes to see if the churros were worth it. I have to say, waiting is a pretty cool experience here, as you can watch them just making the churros, and they are busting them out. I mean, people are ordering them constantly, minute after minute, in line, sitting down at the shop, and even via food delivery services. Basically, the only thing you order here is how many churros you want and in one of the 3 different ways, and then they have 5 different hot chocolates on the side that you can drink or dip with.
It's a long wait, and I probably wouldn't do it a second time, but I'm not upset about doing it once. It is good. All right, take it back. I probably would wait for these again. They are very good, and they are growing on me, especially with the chocolate. However, the Churro de Muerto, no, not good. No idea. It almost tasted like pepper and sugar. Not my jam.
Special shout out to the hot chocolate. There's 4 different kinds here, and the 2 that we had are very good.
All right, so that's it for our first full day in Mexico, but I'm going to show you what we did last night because we had a few hours after we got in from the airport.
We had planned to spend half of the previous day in Mexico City, but unfortunately our flight was delayed 5 hours and we didn't get into the city until 10 p.m. Because of that, we just dropped our stuff off at the hotel and we decided to head out to what was voted the best bar in the world last year and the second best bar in the world this year, Handshake Speakeasy. This is a place you normally have to book reservations for way in advance, but we went without them and we got lucky as they were just changing out a group when we got there, and so we were able to get seated within 20 minutes. This is not normal. A couple people in front of us had been waiting for 2 hours. And even though it looks empty, it's because they just hadn't filled this. This was completely full the entire time we were there. I apologize for the footage. This is all with my phone as I didn't have my camera with me. And as we sat down, we were given some snacks in the menu, and then we had 1 hour for our drinks. This bar was opened in 2021, and it only took 2 years before it was ranked one of the top bars in the world.
That is a good drink.
Our waiter described the cocktails as a combination of high-end techniques with playfulness, and I would say that's a great way to describe it.
This drink is incredible. It tastes like peanut butter and jelly, and then this is like a white chocolate peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Amazing.
We tried multiple drinks throughout the night, but our favorites were the Butter Mushroom Old Fashioned and the Once Upon a Time in Oaxaca. But honestly, you can't go wrong with any of the drinks here. They were all incredible.
Hasta luego! Hasta luego! So awesome. That was an incredible bar. Get reservations if you get the chance. The last thing we got to do today is get tacos after midnight. That's like a thing you have to check off when you're in Mexico City.
This taco shop was a 5-minute walk away from Handshake Speakeasy. And you'll see that we were very excited about eating these tacos because it was the first that we had had in Mexico City. But after eating what we did after this, I would say this was probably the third of the 3 taco shops we went to. Still amazing, just not at the level of the others.
Taco cheers? Cheers. Oh yeah, incredible. Check this out, I ordered a beef taco and it came with cactus, grilled onions, and french fries on top. I had no idea. All right, we got some EDM here, so it's pretty hard to hear me, but here's this taco. Way better than I expected it to be. And with that, our first day in Mexico City is done. We'll see you tomorrow.
I should note that after we got back to our hotel, we did head up to the balcony because why wouldn't you want to spend another 10 minutes hanging out here before bed? All right, that's it for day 1. On to day 2. For my last day in Mexico City, I woke up early and I got breakfast at the hotel buffet.
Morning day 2, Chris decided to go hiking, but my knee's acting up, so I'm taking a tour outside of the city.
Because of my knee, I couldn't go hike the volcano that Chris was going to hike, and so I booked a tour that took me to 3 unique historical sites, the main one being the pyramids about an hour outside of the city that I really wanted to see. After meeting up with the guide and 20 of my closest friends, we loaded into a Sprinter van and we made our way 15 minutes outside of the city to our first stop. This is known as the Plaza of the Three Cultures, and it used to be an ancient market for the city of Tlatelolco. We only had about 15 minutes here, but it was a great stop for our guide to tell us a lot more about the cultures that we're going to be seeing on our day exploring Mexico City and beyond.
What's interesting about this site is that you can see 3 different cultures represented. Now we have a 1-hour drive to our next stop.
I drew the short straw being a solo traveler, so I was sitting in the middle seat between the guide and the driver right in the front. I didn't complain about this though, as it allowed me to get a lot of good shots as we were driving out, and it allowed me to talk to our guide, Fermin, the entire time. He was fascinating and so knowledgeable, a huge highlight on this tour, and he told me about a lot of the things that we were seeing as we were driving out, including the cable cars. This system was created by the Mexico City government in the last decade to improve transportation to hilly and hard to reach neighborhoods on the outskirts of the city. He told me that up to 8 people can be in the cable cars and that it costs very little, so it allows people to commute easily to the city without having to sit in traffic or without having to own a car. And then as we got closer, we saw our first view of the pyramids out in the distance, and they are way bigger than I anticipated them being. Because of the nature of tours like this though, we didn't get to go directly there and we had to stop at a shop first. Here we got an introduction into many different things such as how they dyed the fabrics back in the day and how they used obsidian. And then we got to try a few different types of alcohol including mezcal, and we got to eat some dried crickets. And of course after that we had about 30 minutes to look around the shop in case we wanted to purchase something.
There's 3 scorpions in this bottle. And there's like tarantulas in this bottle.
When you go on these tours, they always drop you off at these kind of tour spots like this where you watch a demonstration, there's things for you to buy. So we're just waiting for that to end and then we can go and see the pyramids.
After about an hour, we were loaded back up in the car and making the 5-minute drive over to the thing I most wanted to see. This is known as the Teotihuacan pyramids, and it's an amazing example of this area's history. Our guide came with us and told us about the pyramids and then walked with us, stopping us many different times to give us history and to tell us important facts. This first one that we're seeing is the Pyramid of the Sun, and it's the 3rd largest pyramid in the world. He told us that these are not like the pyramids in Egypt and that they're completely solid inside. There's no tomb or anything in them. And it's something you can't see on the video, but it's really wild how big these are. The Pyramid of the Sun stands at 216 feet or 66 meters tall, and it's built from more than 3 million tons of stone.
To see how big this is, look at those people who are climbing and working on it. I mean, this thing is massive. This is the Pyramid of the Sun, and then the Pyramid of the Moon is that one down there.
You can't do anything at the Pyramid of the Sun, so you just take it in from all the different angles, and then you walk down to the Avenue of the Dead, which connects you with all of the other pyramids. We were here for 2.5 hours and we were with our guides, so we were limited in what we were able to explore, but there is another pyramid that we didn't get to see called the Pyramid of the Earth. Honestly though, I wasn't disappointed about what we were able to see on the tour.
This is incredibly cool. Be sure to note when you come that all of these steps are steep.
This viewpoint is probably the best place to see the Pyramid of the Sun from, and note that if you want to pick up a souvenir, there are lots of people selling them all over. From here we continued walking down the Avenue of the Dead, which is 2.5 kilometers long, with a stop to see the mural of the puma. While the jaguar is more commonly associated with this era, this one's a puma as it doesn't have the normal spots. Our guide says that it dates back almost 1500 years. Leaving the mural behind, we continued walking all the way to the base of the Temple of the Moon.
You can see how steep the steps are going up there.
For 5 years you weren't able to climb the Temple of the Moon, but they reopened the bottom portion and now you can climb 47 steps up to the first platform.
Alright, here we go. The stairs are steep and tall.
This is such a unique experience, and it's cool that they still allow people to do this with how steep it is.
We made it. You guys, this view up here is incredible. Definitely worth the entire trip just to see this. Look at the Pyramid of the Sun out in the distance, and just being able to climb up here, I cannot believe how awesome this is.
When you get to the top, you're able to really understand how big this structure is. It stands at around 150 feet or 46 meters tall. And from the top, the symmetry of the entire layout is on display.
I honestly can't believe they still allow you to climb up here, but I'm glad they do. It's incredible.
We were able to spend about 10 minutes on top of the structure just taking in all of the views, and then after that it was time to head back down and meet up with our guide.
Alright, now we're heading back down.
If you do this, be careful on the way down. You definitely are going to want to use your hands to hold onto something or the previous step. I wouldn't want to slip here, it would not be good.
Our guy said that the entire Pyramid of the Moon would have been that white back in the day. You guys, I cannot believe I got to climb that. That was beyond words, just to see that view from out there. So cool.
The last thing that we got to do was visit the palace, which is almost 2,000 years old. They believe that it served as some type of residence or ceremonial complex, and it was also discovered in the 1960s. There's the remains of a temple that you can actually go inside of, and you can see some beautiful depictions of feathered birds in greens and reds. There's two things that really struck me about this experience. The first is how well preserved it all is, and the second is how long it took them to actually find it. It's crazy that they've only known about some of these places for decades.
Alright, we're saying goodbye to the pyramids and we are heading on to lunch.
After we found our van again and loaded it up, it was only about a 5-minute drive over to our lunch spot. Again, if you've never been on these types of tours before, they normally take you to places that they work with, and so this place was totally fine. It had decent food, but it was a lot more expensive than what you'd pay in Mexico City for what you were getting. I got the mole enchiladas, and I was happy with it, and we had about an hour to eat lunch before continuing on. From lunch, we had an hour's drive back into the city to go to our last spot before ending the tour. Along the way, the guide told me more about the small towns we were driving through. We talked again about the cable cars, and we just enjoyed the views of Mexico City. This city is absolutely massive, and taking a tour like this helps you realize how big it truly is. Arriving back in Mexico City, our last stop brought us to the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe. This is a fascinating spot to end our trip with. This is one of the most visited churches in the world, getting tens of millions of visitors every year. The main reason people come is to see the image of the Virgin of Guadalupe, which is displayed behind the altar under bulletproof glass. And you have to access a moving walkway in order to see it. The history of this site and the image itself is fascinating, and I'll leave a better video in the description that will tell you the entire history so I don't butcher it here.
That was a wild experience. You just get on a moving walkway, you get to look at it, and then you're on to the next thing.
There are two churches that were built on the site. This one was built in 1976 and the original was built in the 1500s. They were starting mass and I didn't want to disrupt it, so I made my way out to see the older church.
There's two churches here. This one is 50 years old, and then this one is 500 years old.
This church served as the main sanctuary for pilgrims all the way up until the new one was built in the 1970s. It was closed for a while because of the sinking in its foundation, which I'll show you later in this video, but now it's open again and it displays a lot of interesting religious art, which was the main thing that I saw when I was there. There are 4 massive paintings on the sides of the interior that are definitely worth seeing by themselves. And of course it's still used as a place for people to pray and just to experience this historic building.
This church also has some movement in the foundation, as you can see right here. And as you can see right here. There's a good way to see both the old and the new church together. And you can see how much that church has shifted as well. Our guy was saying that this is the best way to notice how much it's shifted. You see the floor right here? That's where the church originally would have been, but it's shifted probably a good 3 feet down. Here you can notice that shift that I was talking about right there.
After spending about 30 minutes walking around the site, it was back in our car and on to Mexico City to finish our tour and to finish my time in the city. Oh, and in case you were wondering about Chris's adventure, he drove 2 hours to hike La Malinche, which is a volcano that's at 4,400 meters or about 14,600 feet. They got within 700 feet of the summit, but because of a whiteout and bad weather, they had to turn around. Chris also shared this footage with me of a previous trip he did where you can actually take a hot air balloon over the pyramids if you want. There's lots of tours that'll take you to do this, and I hope to do it next time.
They dropped us back off in the city. That's a great tour, especially at $33, which is what it was when I did it. But note that it's very long. It's about 9 hours long. There's long breaks at the tourist area, long breaks at lunch. Overall, though, it's a really fun way to spend a day exploring Mexico City. That horn is honking like crazy. That's it for my time here. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick 48 hours. Let me know what I should do next time I come back, because I will definitely be back. This is a cool city. We'll see you on the next one.